What is going on, everybody? Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It's Friday, February 27th, a full week of Eric Lindquist and Christopher Spags on the NBA Live Before Lock show with Live After Lock. Questionable. Yeah, Greg Ehrenberg, questionable to return. It's going to be wild times. So we'll see who shows up here at the end of this show. That's kind of a fun teaser, but I get to be joined on Live Before Lock like I have been all week long with my friend Chris Spags. Go follow him at Chris Spags over on X. Make sure you are subscribed to the Splash Play podcast. We got a 5-gamer coming up here, but Chris, how you doing today?
I'm glad to be here. I was telling Eric before the show, I've made a personal commitment to really be kinder today to Eric, to not just roast him endlessly. I know we had some fun yesterday on Tease Eric Thursday is the new branding for the 1 week I'll be doing a Live Before Lock on Thursday. But today I'm prepared to strap in, do the work, focus Eric on the NBA slate in hand, because there's a lot to focus on today, right?
We were talking about strap-ons, more like it, but we definitely had some fun yesterday. Some railing, some good old-natured bantering like you do back when you were a kid to your crush. That's really what this was, Chris Spags. You and I crushing on each other. Maybe not, just little good times. Wild times. Anyway, strap in, strap on. Look at that, EMAC. I beat you to the dad joke. What's it like to be slow, old man? What's it like to be slow? You can enjoy the turtle and the dark mode getting pulled off of StreamYard tomorrow, being Saturday, Sunday. Spags, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere because he's a bad boy for life.
Yeah, and also I have to do streams on Saturday here. So they just caged me up and they say, you got to do one more day with EMAC, and that's your punishment for getting paid during the week. So I get to have the joy, right, of hanging out with another Eric. I'm getting Eric's on both sides of me. I won't make any gestures.
There it was again. Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Dunking on Eric before Lock is back. Yeah, no, Josh Engleman, he carried the torch for Greg over the course of the last few weeks. And now Chris Spags, he took the torch and he stuck it somewhere you probably don't want to see. But anyway, we got ourselves 5 games here on the DraftKings FanDuel slates. I'm very much looking forward to this one. Again, a lovely $5. It just fell short of filling yesterday over on the FanDuel side. It's definitely going to fill today as it's at 26,000 entries, but I was going to bring that up at one point during the show yesterday and just went off the rails. But pretty fun slate today, Spags, with 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m., 8 p.m., 8:30, and then 9:30 for the Denver OKC spot. We've got a little bit of news that we'll be getting right off the bat here with James Harden, but otherwise, it's going to be one of those late swap slates where you just constantly move to the next game, I love these staggered ones, new information, be able to compound interest, if you will, in our lineups, have that ROI number in the Sims go up when you're utilizing the late swap tool. But Chris, anything you want to bring up before we start diving into this?
No, I mean, the Harden thing, like you mentioned about 20 minutes ago, a tweet went out saying that he was struggling dribbling and shooting around, Gordon Atkinson. So I was thinking that too when I saw him on the bench their last game where he had ice and had like a full like plastic kind of wrap on his hand, which might have been just keep the ice in place, but like didn't look like a guy who was going to play through the injury like that had been said. So I was assuming that he might get ruled out here. I know, last time we had this, you were ready for Dennis Schroeder to be your guy you could swap to, but if I had to guess, we got to get Harden out before lock, right? I know it's a game time decision, but if he can't dribble, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I just got done breaking down a lot of stuff. Didn't even bring up the James Harden spot on the Underdog show that I did, covering a lot of the pick'em streets. Did NBA, did NHL, did a bunch of that stuff now that they're in conjunction over in these stochastic tools here with the props that we've got going. But we've got a lot of plays that are popping at the moment. Ousmane Dieng just taking over the world here at 2.5 rebounds. We have a low minutes projection on him as well. And yet that is one of the best pick and plays, one of the best bets you could potentially get out there. But this Cleveland thing is definitely going to change the equation and something that you want to be doing. Dennis Schroeder, if we go like this to his minutes in the props tool, we saw right around the 30-minute projection mark here. Look at how ridiculous some of these numbers could be. If he's struggling dribbling right now, one of the best things you can do to help out your bankroll is probably get a pretty penny or two down on the Dennis Schroeder side of things. Again, this is my advice. This is not the advice of the tool or anything else. I added the minutes. I utilized the tool here, Spags, and I think rebounds, PRA, everything across the board could look pretty good for him, and he could look really good for our DFS lineups tonight, no?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair way to look at it for Schroeder. And, I mean, really for him, any opportunity to get above the market or get ahead of the market, I think right now is probably a decent thing. Though, you can always run the risk that Harden does play. The fact he's a game time decision, even though he's struggling dribbling, does speak to there still being some chance that he goes. But if he goes, he's probably going to be limited too. So I think still getting Schroeder with the minutes uptick that you're getting from Mitchell, not a bad thing. You're muted.
Of course, muted. Even my computer doesn't want me to talk today. That's fine. I don't care. Just whatever you say, Cruella. We got ourselves so much goodness over in the props tool and so much goodness in the NHL side of things with the props tool too. And on this show today, 50% off the NBA and NHL all access props package. If you've been thinking about it, if you've been watching the live afterlock with Josh Engleman over the course of this week and Greg Ehrenberg many weeks before it, use promo code BUNDLE and you can get 50% off the conjunction of the two. You simply go to the link in the video description box below. You go to Stochastic there, you sign up, and you'll get NBA and NHL together for 50% off. That's going to be good times, friends, rather than having to pay for each of them individually. So check that out if you're looking at the best data. If you've won data, or if you've won money with our data in the NBA DFS streets, my God, I cannot tell you how fruitful it's going to be going forward with this prop tool in both the NBA and NHL. Helps out a lowly guy like me who doesn't get to do as much NHL as what he did once upon a time. Boy, am I excited to be firing this up on a day in, day out basis. But let's get ourselves into the NBA DFS slate, Spags. And at the top, the tippy top, I'm going to start expensive. We have Nikola Jokic. We have Cade Cunningham, SGA, 3 10K plus pieces on this slate. But we also got Jaylen Brown, James Harden if he ends up out in this spot, which is kind of what we're assuming based on the hand, but can't take him out until we get that news. Plus, it's the first game right off the bat. We should have no problem adjusting our lineups to it. And Jalen Brunson will make the cutoff considering he's a little overowned, but at 13% in ownership, I think he's fine against Milwaukee. Nothing crazy any way, shape, or form. But SGA returns tonight. I can't imagine he's going to be somebody who goes crazy in terms of minutes, but even at around 30 against Denver, 29 and change, he's looking like playable to some extent. How do these top end options break down for you tonight?
I mean, it's obviously hard to ignore how much ownership is going Jokic's way. I mean, you're seeing 59% right now projected by Stochastic. That's a massive number. And look, I think Jokic is a good play. The fact that they'd have no Peyton Watson, no Aaron Gordon, all things that should mean that there's a lot of upside, for Jokic, a game that they want to win going against OKC, one of those spots that theoretically will bring out the best despite, being a tough matchup on paper with their defense. But for Jokic, I feel like the big thing is that whenever you see it, the field's going to be there 60%, spending over 12K, it just kind of puts you on particular builds. It's sort of easy to not play Jokic from the game theory perspective. And you can see the optimal rate as well being a little bit lower. Like to me, Jokic feels like put him in half your lineups play, take the best lineups you possibly can with that. And the other half, just see what you have. And I think sometimes people's instinct is to go heavier on Jokic, but I would roll the dice with Cade more. I mean, SGA, I'm a little bit uncertain of. Jaylen Brown, I do think will be a guy I end up rolling the dice with a bit more. If Harden were to play, and I don't think he will, he'd be another option you could take that shot at. But Brunson, like you mentioned, KPJ, Ryan Rollins, very similar plays for Milwaukee. I just think you could kind of do that with the other half of your lineups that don't include Jokic. So I get what the ownership is for Jokic. I get why he's there. It's just I would really be mindful of not going crazy above the field because I just know what the payout is for that.
I'm starting with Jokic mainly because with this James Harden piece of news, that if we remove him from the equation, we look at the value that we've currently got on today's slate. And I think it's a little bit uncomfortable. We've got tons and tons of Dallas, shorthanded beyond belief, and everybody is cheap. Najee Marshall coming off of a nuclear game, ownership absolutely crazy for him, but still, I mean, just an unavoidable piece, I think, on this particular slate on DraftKings and FanDuel for tonight. But center position, Daniel Gafford pulling 50% ownership, and that's still a little bit light based on where our minutes are, where our rates are for him tonight. And then a bunch of these point guard, shooting guards. You know what position I didn't list off? Power forward. No power forward really showing up until you get to Chris Middleton on this team. He looks pretty darn good, but there isn't really a spend up option there. We have Jokic at center. We have Cade Cunningham at point guard. Power forward is just going to be, I'm a little bit worried about Middleton's ownership getting a little bit outrageous, but I think Jokic, considering where he's at, you can play two centers. Him and Gafford going to be a big part of my lineups tonight, but power forward is a dustbin for anything else that isn't Chris Middleton. And Who feels great about rostering Chris Middleton today? I'm going to answer this one for you, Spags. Nobody is going to feel good about rostering Chris Middleton on today's slate, but you're going to probably do it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, he did play 30 minutes recently enough, I mean, there's definitely a minute ceiling there, especially just given how many guys they have. With Middleton, the tough part, and something that some people are mentioning in my Splash Play chat today as well, is just like people being afraid of playing him because of the potential of him, wanting to get released so that he can go back in the open market, which is one of those things where like the reports have been out there for multiple times in the last week, including after their last game, that, Middleton is still deciding between like staying on the team or trying to explore his value out there. But I think really what that means is like his agent's probably working the phones right now to see if there's any deals out there for him. And if somebody wants him, then he'd probably take the buyout and go play for a contender. But I think how it is right now, you assume he'll play because they are only having like 9 guys available now, with Martin getting ruled out right before the show as well, or getting downgraded to doubtful, so basically out. I would say for Middleton, I don't think he's been as good as the ownership was a couple slates ago, where the field went there so much because he had the one good game in Dallas, but the minutes should be there. I think he plays at least high 20s, if not 30 plus, because they just don't have enough bodies to go around. And he's been a guy that can produce when there's, just endless usage like he did on Washington. I think he can do it again today.
We got Najee Marshall in 80% of lineups. Brandon Williams sitting in 69% of lineups. Very nice. Daniel Gafford, 50% of lineups. Chris Middleton, the aforementioned, Max Christie. That is your presumed starting 5 here. And then you brought it up as well. I think these guys off the bench, AJ Johnson, Dwight Powell, Tyus Jones, Miles Kelly, like there's still a place for them on this slate. They're all 3K or 3,200 in Tyus Jones instance, which is, not an issue by any means. But assuming this is our starting 5 and assuming we don't get Cisse out there, which is definitely alive, we got to pay attention to him. He's on a G League 2-way. And if he doesn't end up playing today, you brought it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Dallas Mavericks. They're playing another tank team in Memphis on the other side. And this game is just nuclear from a DFS perspective. Talk through the people, how you go about playing a slate like this, a 5-gamer, where we have Dallas and Memphis, just an insane amount of ownership going their direction. Who are the absolute priorities? Who are you going to be shorting a little bit based on their high ownership? And who do you have no problem with their ownership with whatsoever?
I'm actually now realizing I have to put Cisse back into my data pool because he was doubtful earlier today, and I did not have him as a Q-Tech. So thank you for that reminder, putting him in right now. But yeah, how it looks for me in terms of the Mavericks, I mean, clearly it's hard not to go to Najee Marshall's way and look at him first and foremost. I would say the fact that, for Najee Marshall, the fact that he put up almost 60 fantasy points yesterday, probably not a great thing in terms of keeping his ownership in check. The most recent update, 80% owned is what he looks like for the field. And he did go nuts in that spot. I do think he'll get as much usage as he wants here, but not a back-to-back. And you have a lot of guys that are probably playing for their next contract in a real way on Dallas aside. The usage can flow other ways. So like, I'm not sure that he's going to give you the slate breaking upside you need at that much ownership. Like, does he give you 40? I think a pretty good shot at that. And at 6,300 on DraftKings, that matters. But I would say for Najee Marshall, again, he's another guy where I feel like a great play, kind of like Jokic, but to me, just a little bit over-owned if he's going to be in, 4/5 of people's lineups. But I guess before we dig too deep on it, where are you with Najee Marshall? Because I think he's probably with, the box score chasing, let alone just like what he is today. I think he's the most important player on the Mavs side.
I have no problem playing Najee Marshall. His minutes are just completely nuclear. 80%, like old school DFS, you look at this and you say, yeah, that's too high owned. Not really when you look at the rest of the options at small forward. And I guess that's kind of where it leads us down to small forward elsewhere. Taylor Hendricks, 4,200, but these minutes and probably not starting. And there's no Kyle Anderson there anymore. He got not necessarily, I don't know if it was a buyout, but I just know that he is now on my Minnesota Timberwolves again, which is beautiful for me. I love slow-mo, but Jaylen Brown, Josh Hart, Cal Bridges, there's just guys that are fine, but in terms of value, I mean, he is by far the guy at 6,300. If he's playing 33, 34 minutes, and there's some places upwards of 35, it's really hard with this current iteration against Memphis for Najee Marshall not to look great. He does enough rebounds and assists, does enough of the things that don't make him shooting dependent. I find him unavoidable chalk. I'm not going to say like nuclear chalk because like he's 80% owned. Anybody who's 80% owned, you can leave off of a lineup and you know that you're getting, you're sacrificing something there for damn sure. But him and Brandon Williams, I have no problem with it whatsoever. And we just got the news we were waiting for. James Harden is out. So Dennis Schroeder is going to completely change what we've got here in terms of ownership on this slate. He's still only 5,100.
Is that Eric's mom? I think it's got to be.
Not my mom. Harden and Keon are out. So Keon Ellis joins the party. Holy crap, Craig Porter Jr. season part 2. Dennis Schroeder talked to the people about all these Cleveland guys in the first game right off the bat. And now that's going to cut into some of this Dallas ownership.
Yeah, I mean, for Cleveland, certainly you're removing 33 minutes for James Harden. Seems like a spot where you expect to produce, about 1.2-ish, depending on what your projection is, fantasy points per minute today. He hasn't been awesome as a Cav, so I do think you'll have guys filling in, and that's one of those things where we've had enough of a sample size this year of minutes without Garland, without Mitchell as well. But Schroeder, he has played fairly well in all these situations in other teams where he's been a lead point guard. So he's been at a 0.94 fantasy point per minute pace. If you give him 30 minutes at that fantasy production alone, he'll look better. So I think for Schroeder, he'll probably project for me to be about like a 1 point something fantasy point per minute guy when we start. But I think for Dennis Schroeder, he's going to be the big winner, most obviously. But Mobley, more usage. Jared Allen, more usage. Jalen Tyson, more usage. Craig Porter Jr., you were advocating for a little bit. I think he's going to be a decent value. He already was kind of a 5X guy, at least at 3,500. So not sure about Keon Ellis. He's already getting 25. I think Cleveland, definitely a team we got to look at more. I don't know if anybody's going to be like a mega chalk play, though, with the guys we have already.
I hate Josh so much. Just thought I'd point that out.
Okay. The chat agrees too.
Stochastic Hall of Fame. Stochastic.com/HOF. Complete the official sign-up form. Choose your avatar. Choose your own adventure. Haha. Boom goes the dynamite. 3, upload your avatar. You want to fire that up. 4, finish in the top 3 into GPP with 5,000 plus entries. And then you got yourself 5. Post on X. Post a winning screenshot. At the end of your post, put Stochastic HOF. That would be very, very helpful to everybody involved. And you can get yourself a ton of great offerings that are all over there, starting with the Stochastic Sims tool for free for a month, just by doing really, really good work out in the streets. Not the way that Josh and all these evil people in my life do it.
Also, chat real fast, very, very fairly correcting me. Keon Ellis out. I missed that amidst all the stuff going on because I was locked in on the Harden part. But yeah, Keon Ellis, Wade being out, Harden being out, it's all going to look different for Cleveland. I would like to see the data team update so I can know what to say.
Yeah. You're going to play a lot of Jalen Tyson and Dennis Schroeder. And you're going to play a lot of Sam Merrill. And we're just going to play a lot of Cleveland guys. Guys in Cleveland uniforms, we are going to be rostering even in a very, 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 very difficult spot against Detroit. So, that's going to add much more chalk to the slate. And we're going to be removing some of it off of these Dallas guys, but just kind of like to put a bow on it. Is there anybody unexpected on this slate in terms of value that you're kind of getting a little bit different with? The main reason I ask is we have a ton of chalk. There's going to be a lot of 2v2, 3v3 type stuff going on today when you've got 80% owned currently Najee Marshall, 69% owned Brandon Williams. You get 59% Jokic. You get a lot of these dudes showing up. Javon Small assumed to be starting again, although Memphis, who knows what you're going to get with the starting lineup. All I know is that Small generally plays more than those other idiots because they're either limited or they just don't want to play on many minutes in the case of Cam Spencer. But is there somebody that value-wise between that's not wearing a Cleveland uniform or maybe one of those unexpected guys on Dallas? Is there somebody that can be that point of leverage for us on this slate for you?
I mean, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of my top 9 values are Mavericks right now, just sorting purely by value. The other ones who aren't Mavericks are Javon Small, Scottie Pippen Jr., and Mitchell Robinson. So the Cleveland guys will join that party, but I don't see how anybody else matters on the slate relatively. Like, I think that the Mavs are so undermanned here, so under usage for the guys that actually have gotten shots up this year, that those guys come up a lot. And I suppose all the production could just go Najee Marshall's way again. But I think with how projections work, you got to get Mavs. Grizzlies, Javon Small, I think still in play. Scottie Pippen at 5,200, not quite as good of a value. And it does seem like he's getting something of the Ty Jerome minutes limit situation. But, he's been really good per minute this year. Over 1.2 fantasy points per minute, I believe, is where he was last at. So for Scottie Pippen Jr., I think he's about as unique of a value as I'm going to get, and he's still, he's still 25% owned. So yeah, no, Dwight Powell, I guess, is Mavs value. Like, he's lesser owned Mavs value. I'm going to get some of.
Nick Decker 154 became a YouTube member. Love to see those. Love to see the badges rolling in. Yesterday was insane with the super chats. We appreciate all of you for asking questions and us giving you answers and being a little funny along the way. But I guess I was kind of asking you that because I purely wanted to make this point. The chalk is really good today. The chalk is not to be avoided today. We're going to play a lot of chalk. It's really just finding some of like maybe a mid-range or like an expensive option. And that's where I do want to focus on the expensive range with Nikola Jokic and minutes. How many minutes do you think SGA has like as the maximum in his range of outcomes tonight?
I mean, what was his injury? I forget.
It was lower body, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was. But I mean, yeah, it's hard to keep
abdominal strain, abdominal. So breathing is important.
Breathing important. I mean, you could still, I think, keep up your cardio to some extent during that. But if I had to guess, he's probably not getting above 32. Like, I think if you were full health in this game, you're probably seeing 36, 37, 38, because Denver probably won't get smoked here. And, I think that's the upper band of his minutes generally. But in the spot coming off the injury, last time he played is 28 minutes. I would expect closer to 30 really, but the upper band I think is 32, 33. I can't see him getting that extra 4 minutes you really want.
With that in mind, I mean, Cade Cunningham is only 17% owned right now. And this Cleveland team is about to change in a drastic way. We're going to have a ton of value that we can play on multiple teams. And Jokic is unavoidable in multiple lineups for me. In one lineup, I'm still definitely playing Jokic. But I'm just kind of looking at where we're going to spend our money and how we're going to get contrarian and what it is that we could potentially do, which leads me to another early, premature Yeah, we're doing it early purely because, one, I can do whatever I want. And two, I think this slate has a lot of chalk that is going to look awesome. I want to get everything updated here. I saw that we got the update, but we're getting ownership in as of this second. So yeah, 2 minutes ago, all updated. We got a nice tight bow on it. You could not, I buried the lead. You could not have nailed your nuke of the night any harder yesterday in a million years. Sadiq Bey, like 42, 9, and 7 or some shit. What did I wake up to in my lineup? I could not believe what Sadiq Bey did to min cash me. So thank you, Chris Spags. But let the people know tonight, who's the Sadiq Bey of the night?
Oh God. Yeah. It's always hard to follow up. I wish like my week of streaming were done so I could just go out on that one and everybody could remember it and hold it into Steam and not expect it again. I mean, the ownership is so high for so many guys. It is sort of tough to identify one, especially on the quick turnaround that we're going with here. Do you have one that's top of mind? Because I'd prefer to hear yours because I wasn't emotionally prepared.
Yeah, I want to talk about Kevin Porter Jr. The rates have been absolutely absurd. He's 8,600. And I know for a fact with Cleveland now being thrown into the fray, we're going to have so many of these point guard, shooting guard guys that we can play, the Brandon Williams of the world and such. But have you watched what Kevin Porter Jr. has been doing absent all these pieces? Don't forget Bobby Portis. His minutes have been very, very limited. Don't forget also the Kevin Porter Jr. is playing irrational type minutes. And when you're talking about these spend ups that we got going today, Jokic, Cade Cunningham, I think they're great because of the raw fantasy points that they bring to our lives. And I think we can surround them with value, but I'm worried. We just updated this. It came down a little bit, so maybe I'm not as worried going forward, but I'm worried about where this ownership lands. I'm pretty positive Kevin Porter Jr. remains around 10, 11% in every circumstance at 8,600. I brought him up 2 slates ago, or no, last slate it was that he was on. I just jammed him. He ended up being like my second highest owned player, and I couldn't believe people still are not clicking on him with the amount of minutes he is playing. 37. In fact, if you just group by minutes on just about any of these slates, he is tippy top by 2 minutes in our projections. Kevin Porter Jr. is different than what I ever thought he would be. I never thought we'd be playing 8,600 of him, and I would be just fine with it. But look at this. I am Kevin Porter Jr. against the Knicks. your nuke of the night.
So I was going to try to dig for one that, I think I have a couple that would be okay. But I think the chat gave me the idea here. I think Green Checkmark, who knows me as well as anybody, I am a Ryan Rollins truther. To get leverage on your nuke of the night, I think Ryan Rollins is the pick to go to today.
No.
So for Ryan Rollins, things that stand out, this year, about 2,000 possessions without Giannis. He's at a 27.3% usage rate for KPJ, 1,500 possessions, 26.9. So the usage rates are pretty close. Obviously, some of Rollins' minutes without KPJ, so important to keep that in mind. But these two are cycling in and out minutes-wise, playing, 31 to 38 minutes, mostly in KPJ's case, in most spots lately. So I think there's upside there. But for Rollins, he's a better shooter than KPJ, especially from three. I think can get hot. And, really the big thing is he's single digit owned and you're picking KPJ. So Ryan Rollins, nuke of the night. Let's go. One of them's got to hit. That's how I play it every slate. I get 20% of these guys on every slate. And sometimes it works out.
You just leverage played off of my nuke of the night. That's what you came up with?
Yeah, it's game theory, isn't it?
God. How do my co-hosts keep getting worse and meaner to me? How does this happen? Whatever.
Look, guys, Sadiq Bey hit yesterday. So the law of how this goes, Ryan Rollins has to hit tonight, right?
Okay. We're betting something on this. This is diabolical. All right. I'll give you a fantasy point. I'll give you like a 5 fantasy point lead if you want it. Ryan Rollins versus KPJ straight up. So you're not straight up. You're getting 5 fantasy points.
Projection wise, it's a good bet. I just I don't need to make bets. I'm making bets here. How many bets do I need? You're too busy with bets. I got DFS lineups. We had the puppet bet. You won that one. You never paid it off. We were supposed to bring a Spags puppet in for NFL. You got one win on me there.
Yeah, 1-0. Keep it that way. Evening, fellas. Hi, Gabriel99572. We appreciate you. Also, you should smile more. Put a smile on that face. Can we get some FanDuel data? Also, should we care? Cleveland, Detroit being a nationally televised game with key bodies out. Thanks. I'll keep watching. You're very welcome. Not thinking about that whatsoever. I think about nationally televised stuff when it comes to maybe fractionally in the back of my brain stored somewhere where it's like a guy with a Q tag. Maybe he's more likely to play. And then you have stuff like yesterday, nationally televised Timberwolves game. Guess what? Doesn't matter. You're not going to get on Peacock. Was it Prime? Was it on Prime or Peacock that I was watching yesterday? I can't get anything straight anymore. It's just absurd. But we've got ourselves a nationally televised game where Kawhi Leonard, John Collins both sat where I thought they were more likely to play. So you never know what you're going to get there, but it's all baked in. It's like, let's just bake in the fact that Detroit's defense is really, really good. And obviously this is not your traditional spot where you just want to be jamming Cleveland Cavaliers down your throat because James Harden and Donovan Mitchell are out. It's still a fantastic situation at their price points. But yes, there's definitely a chance of failure. Detroit is quite good at basketball, Spags.
Yeah, no, they're one of the better defenses here. The wing defense in particular does seem to keep giving every lead guard with high usage trouble. But, this kind of situation, you got to roll the dice a little bit, especially because, for Cleveland, the ownership, they really didn't come up that much.
All right, let me grab this. $4.99. Can we get the best KPJ single entry lineup for DK? A beautiful thing that you can do with The Sims. You can go to the single lineup simulator. We're going to do exactly that. We're going to create a new lineup. We're going to add ourselves the GOAT that is KPJ. We're going to add him to the fray, not the band, but the lineup. And we're going to hit complete your lineup. And here is what pops up. A ton of Dallas, Memphis. 4 Dallas members, Kevin Porter Jr. along with it. You can then run the lineup simulation directly from there. Look at that. Dennis Schroeder shows up at the bottom. Please do not play him in the utility. Move him to the tippy top. And you can see simulated ROI looks fantastic right from the get-go. I repeat, Spags, the chalk is really, really good tonight.
Yeah, I was building some lineups too on stream earlier, and obviously things move around a little bit, but the chalk is still mostly pretty rock solid there. And there's 5 guys you can just kind of rotate the other 3 spots around. Your Dallas value that you just saw in particular. So yeah, there's lineups feel very samey today. If you could find a way to get unique and get it right, boy, you're gonna be away from a lot of the field. But otherwise, we're all gonna look the same today.
Choose your adventure, Spags. Which team do you want to talk about next? Because we do have a Q tag that sits there for Jamal Murray that could change the slate a little bit. We haven't even discussed that from the last game of the night, but mean, the timing of that news does matter. Memphis, Dallas, we all are going to be playing that. And if you get Jamal Murray out, there's some guys who could benefit. We could go that direction. We could talk, is there anything you want from Brooklyn on a back-to-back, considering they limited some of those minutes in the blowout yesterday? They're probably going to get blown out against Boston today. Where do you really want to take this adventure?
I mean, Denver, we could talk about a little bit. I mean, Jamal Murray to me looked like a better play earlier today. 7% ownership now. I'm getting 13% across my Sims. Think that he's an okay play that's direct leverage on all that Jokic ownership. But for Jamal Murray, to me, not the most exciting play. You would think that walking Kitty before the stream would make her leave me alone. But no, she has to still knock the camera out. Go to your bed. For just the fact that Jokic is so highly owned, I think you have to think about other Nuggets players a little bit more. And, the game total being as high as it is as well, Jamal Murray, definitely one of those guys that can fill it up enough. If he's out, though, I mean, hopefully you'll have the ability to swap to, I guess Bruce Brown at 4,500 could be the starter here, given that he filled in the second half last game. But Jalen Pickett wasn't available, so I think he has a shot still of picking up the start. Something weird could happen if Murray's out, but it's one of those things for the Nuggets. Like, I get why it's Jokic or bust. There's got to be something there if you don't play Jokic to try to get some theoretical leverage, and Murray is the most obvious.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust. Rip to that guy. Heard he passed away. That was kind of sad the other day. Anyway, we got ourselves the FanDuel slate as well, but wanted to touch on the fact Jamal Murray being out. Jokic would look just redonkulous beyond redonkulous. And don't forget, Jalen Pickett, I believe he's questionable as well. If he ends up out, Bruce Brown could end up being your major beneficiary. That's weird to say out loud. Don't forget about Julian Strother's existence. They do have Cam Johnson back. Maybe Cam Johnson can continue to actually shoot threes. That would be good. Brutal start to his season, but there's nothing that's going to look as good as what Memphis, Dallas does. There's going to be nothing that looks as good as Cleveland, but it will be very low owned. And that's kind of the main edge is, for the late swap stuff. Won't look as good from a projection standpoint, but man, you really want all the Joker already. So I'm just preloading it, letting it rip. Over on the FanDuel side, though, there's a lot of negative leverage coming in on a $12,600 Nikola Jokic. We've also got a couple of different pieces that exist. Dennis Schroeder is 70% owned over on the FanDuel side, the most popular player, the most optimal player. And Najee Marshall sitting around 62% because he is $7,200. There's a couple of minute differences here and there, but kind of similar to yesterday, Spags. The chalk kind of remains the same on both sites.
Yeah. And really, no super obvious FanDuel values that you're not getting on DK. I suppose Schroeder probably technically a little bit cheaper relative to FanDuel pricing. But if you have 70% ownership for Schroeder, 70% optimal rate, 68% ownership for Brandon Williams, 61% optimal rate, Najee Marshall around 60, Jalen Tyson around maybe a little bit over owned at 52%. But like these guys, it's a very obvious core there. I guess Jalen Tyson being a part of it more so, not something you're getting as much on DraftKings, but I mean, I don't really have any critiques of these guys for the most part. Not even any players really I'd point to and go like, oh, he's a better play on DraftKings, not guys that are 3-point dependent or anything. Najee's a little more expensive there is probably the only thing you'd say.
Najee's a little bit more expensive. So yeah, playing both sites is all right if you're trying to trim down on the amount of Najee in your life, but it's just insane. And we got the official Schroeder, Merrill. It's exactly as projected. Tyson, Mobley, and Allen. Yeah, dude, Mobley and Allen, that's a lot of ownership coming in there, but they're 7,500, 7,600. The minutes are starting to come up for Mobley a little bit. He's just kind of working himself back into it, but 7,500 is okay with all of those dudes out. In fact, 1.27 FanDuel points per minute can get you there with some stocks. Those are useful. Like your boy John Conchar on FanDuel yesterday. Did you see his stat line?
He had all his
John Conchar's stat line. Rinpack. So I've got Rinpack staying with me. Rinpack faded him and DeJounte Murray in the afternoon 150 or in the evening slate 150 on FanDuel. And we were just watching that at dinner. Could not believe John Conchar's stat line. I think 7 stocks with like 2 points or something. He had like 30 plus. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, he did not get the usage up in that spot, even though he certainly can. 4 points he finished with. Put some respect on John Conchar's name. He scored slightly less points than he did get steals and rebounds.
What an AIDS play that was. All right, we got ourselves point guard by position. We want FanDuel, $1.99. Thank you, KGDR24. We got a lot of C3POs in the chat today. I appreciate everybody, the faceless people coming in and giving us some good dollars to talk some good data. Point guard, Dennis Schroeder, Brandon Williams. That's really, really boring on FanDuel, but it's true.
Yeah, I think those two very obviously a cut above anybody. Nobody else I'd really cape for. I guess SGA a little bit underowned on FanDuel with that price tag at 10-2 being appreciably cheaper, but you got to swallow that minutes risk. But maybe SGA more playable on FanDuel.
You hit swallow really hard. You said every syllable. Swallow.
I'm not making those jokes today, Eric, so I don't appreciate where you're going with this. This is a professional show on this Friday.
I hate you so much. Chris Middleton, Max Christie, two guys we can add to that Cleveland party. Shooting guard.
Yeah, shooting guard. Jalen Tyson also in that mix too. Obviously, Middleton, 39% outable rate, 30% owned. I think those two look pretty good.
Najee Marshall.
Is that Josh and your mom again? Can they stop?
This is actually my mom. This is hilarious. This is actually incredible. I had a talk with her. Josh, don't you dare say a freaking word, dude. I said, don't call me during my streams. I'm put on do not disturb for a reason. There.
That's pretty rude to your mom and Josh. You could take the call.
Power forward, Najee Marshall and Evan Mobley.
Power forward, Evan Mobley. Yeah, Evan Mobley being a little bit underowned on FanDuel. Obviously, the steals and blocks for him can be a little bit more beneficial. Jared Allen, power forward, being able to play him there, not a bad thing either. I think he looks underowned as well. Yeah, those two, I think power forward pretty fun, even though they both were also center eligible. That's a really absurd one, but that really tickled the funny.
How did that not get filtered? It didn't get filtered by YouTube chat. YouTube chat filter doesn't work.
I think it worked pretty well.
Heavy in the first half, not gonna lie. Man. Center, Nikola Jokic. I mean, again, the chalk is really, really good. So let's play a lot of the chalk and let the Sims do the work.
Yeah, center Nikola Jokic, obviously a priority play there. Again, the Cavs guys, if you want to go there, if you need value, Gafford, also a nice value play on FanDuel and pretty underowned on FanDuel too, as opposed to DK where he will be coming up like crazy.
All right. Hopefully you guys appreciated that. Thank you 1-2 for all of your great love in the chat on a daily basis. Go get a job. Goody 5278, $1.99. Any Sims Max promos? Why? My friends, we've always got good stuff going for you. Nothing going for the Sims Max right now for the promos, but I did bring this up before. We got the bundle right now, NBA and NHL all access props package. Again, we got some good betting tools coming up in the world here for you over at Stokastic. We have the same data that is curated for your DFS exposure. Guess what? Let it curate your NBA and NHL props exposure too. We're telling you right now, 50% off all access props package. Get both of them for the price of one of them, 50% off. That is some good stuff with promo code bundle. And in fact, if you look over at our lovely tool right now, tons of value on the board from an EV perspective. You can also change this all the way down. Let's say you want to go top down and go to the OddsShopper side of things. That's the stochastic market-based projections. You can fire that up as well. You can blend the model to go 50-50. That's my favorite thing to do here. Remember, we also have these tags sitting here next to the individual names so you can know who has major injury news that could or could not benefit them there. And obviously, Bruce Brown, he's somebody who will majorly benefit. If you have Bet Rivers, yeah, that's going to look pretty good. 14.5. I know it's 3 off of it there, but plus 240. It's price and probability at the end of the day, friends. And you can change those rates directly in the app as well. Talked about Bruce Brown being the guy who would be the major beneficiary. Let's just say I took his minutes up to 30.7, just added 5 minutes to the party here. See what that does to the betting lines and get ahead of them. Have an opportunity to be prepared when news strikes. You can change those directly in the model. You can even edit the rates on a per player basis. And now the Sims also have NHL working for you. We got so much good stuff coming your way for every sport under the sun, but these two are what we started off with because they're obviously in season. And boy, oh boy, tons of value to be found in the NHL streets as well. This is a 100% market-based approach. Go to our stochastic origination. Boy, is there value to be had. So check out all that we got going for you right now in the NHL, NBA streets. That is promo code BUNDLE. And Josh himself, my the motherfucker that he is, and he'd be like, yes, I am. He's an absolute stud when it comes to the on-screen by himself type shows, and you have enjoyed him all week long. You might be enjoying him here in the after party, but we'll see. Greg Ehrenberg, game time decision. We'll see who shows up in the little box on StreamYard here in a couple of minutes. But in the meantime, promo code BUNDLE. Check out some of these props for yourself. Back to the NBA streets, Chris Spags. I'm feeling pretty good about my lineups as I uploaded after our last update. How much Dennis Schroeder is too much Dennis Schroeder over on DraftKings, where he is 60.5% owned. I want more.
Yes, Schroeder, re-updating things here right now, but got him at, 57% owned looks pretty good. My projection's definitely a little bit lower than stochastic, so that does worry me to some extent. But yeah, for Schroeder, I get people are going there. It's a lot of flexibility to give up. Not that he's incredibly expensive, but if you're playing him in Tyson, you are giving up some swappability here, putting yourself in a very common path that people might be swapping around on. But hard to critique it. I do expect him to be better today with Harden. I think it's the same thing as last time. Like, I expect the projection to be a little bit higher, just kind of naturally matriculating with Harden and Mitchell being out. And it's not like crazy high, like 32 at 5K on this slate. I don't know that he's like a better play than the Mavs guys fundamentally.
I think he's a phenomenal play. He's going to be in almost everything I play. He was last slate. He will be this slate too. He just looks insane. And sure, it eats up the point guard spot. Please make sure you play him at point guard as well. Obviously, when I utilize the single lineup sim there, when you're hand building and you're utilizing that, make sure you've got him in that point guard spot and give yourself the most flexibility with lineups that he's in. And that's going to be basically all of them that I make today. Who else are you playing at guard, though? Because we have so many options, and I want to play Cade Cunningham a ton at 11K, and I don't know if I can really still get there, which is surprising considering all the value we have. But I suppose Dallas is just a bunch of 5K guys, and Memphis, 5,200 Scottie Pippen Jr., Javon Small. Guard is just nuclear today, not to mention my favorite, Kevin Porter Jr. and Craig Porter Jr. It might be a Porter Jr. party for me.
Obviously, if you're playing KPJ, got to get some Ryan Rollins. We can all agree with that. But there's a lot of options at point guard. I'm with you on that. The value guys, definitely the ones that are coming up the most for me. Memphis's value. I'm trying to rerun stuff right now because there's another update that came through. But point guard wise, I would say that in terms of how things are looking for me, Brandon Williams still pretty high up there. I have him higher than Schroeder. Where are you with Brandon Williams versus Schroeder? Because you must think Schroeder's like really highly projected, right?
Yeah, Brandon Williams is higher projected and higher optimal percentage, but I can play him at shooting guard. So I'm just playing Brandon Williams at shooting guard. It's a lot of him. The guy who I'm not getting a lot of is Javon Small. I get a little bit worried that we just get a random starting lineup from Memphis all the time. Like, they just keep shuffling through different dudes. I think it's the most likely that he starts here. I think it's very likely, in fact. But how many times have I said that about Memphis where I thought I had a grasp of what they were going to do, and then Taylor Hendricks isn't starting. And then it's, okay, Olivier Maxence Prosper's playing the 3. Today, he's playing the 5. Today, we're going to have Taj Gibson on the roster, who's not even available in the player pool. And how many minutes is he going to play? Is he, what purpose do we have for Taj Gibson being on the Memphis Grizzlies in the year of our Lord 2026? I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. But I think it has to do with what they utilize in war. They put people in those bunkers, and it is a tank. It is an absolute tank fest. So cool stuff. Thanks, Taj Gibson. Glad to have you back, bro.
Yeah, Taj, unfortunately not available on the slate. Taj once won me the 60K in NBA, so I'll always hold Taj in some esteem. He was a pivot off Nerlens Noel back in the Knicks days, so I think Taj has merits, even though it does seem perplexing that he's on the Grizzlies. But I think he can play some minutes today. I think in particular probably hurts your Omax, GG Jackson tier of guys more than the guards. For Javon Small, the one thing I would say for him is that it does seem like his minutes remain high 20s no matter what's going on around him, which is really your Cam Spencers, Ty Jerome's. Obviously, he's not available today. say. The other Walter Clayton, all those guys, Scottie Pippen, they're all playing like 22 minutes besides Javon Small. My guess is that it's because he's a little bit better playing off ball, but it also could be because like he's their draft pick this year. They're trying to develop him a little bit more. Obviously Walter Clayton, also a young guy that should probably want to develop, but this regime didn't draft him, so maybe not as much. But I think for how Javon Small looks, like I'm still going to be there. The ownership is obviously moving around a little bit, only 33% now. He looked like one of the best plays in the slate. I like this tier of guys a little bit more than Schroeder, I think. Like I'm not on the same page as you with Schroeder. I'm going to be like at 30%, I think.
I am in the opposite camp, but I appreciate your conviction. I always appreciate your conviction because it means you put in that work, Devin. Don't give up. And it also means you're paying the rate for my Dennis Schroeder lineups. Yay. Jones Z824. That's a joke. You're loved. $5. Spags. Eric, do you guys expect Rollins KPJ to nuke on FanDuel? Also, what a great question. I expect that the minutes projection is going to be the identical number that we've got. Nothing changes in that regard. What changes are some of the rates. And at 9,600, yeah, Kevin Porter Jr., he's lower owned, but he's got positive leverage attached to him. I like him for both sites. Again, the minutes don't change. He's going to play the most minutes on the slate in our projections, 37 and change. That still remains. Yeah, we've got him over 2 minutes now over Ryan Rollins. Those two specifically, your boy is 7,800. I do think straight up, once again, I just like Kevin Porter Jr. and that upside on a slate where we have unlimited value. But Spags likes guys who are going to put up a fantasy point per minute at 7,800, play 34 minutes and give you 34 fantasy points and not do anything in your lineups.
That's true. I do like those guys. I mean, look, Rollins, I think, is a better play generally on DK than FanDuel because of 3-point shooting. But, for Rollins, I think he's still playable. The fact the price tag is that much lower than KPJ, I don't hate it, but he's got an 11%, 12% outpull rate on there. He's not like a priority play on DraftKings either, but I think he's an okay play. I like him a little bit more on DraftKings, but I'm also not playing FanDuel tonight.
I'm playing both. Nick Decker, 154. Sims have me negative 35% leverage on Jokic. Thoughts? I think you shouldn't worry too much. First off, what side are you playing? Second off, Nikola Jokic. You want to get the Jamal Murray news. We probably aren't going to get it for a while, but I really like playing a ton of Jokic. He's going to look even better if you do get Murray out. Maybe Murray's limited coming off of the sickness, the rumbly and his tumbly, but I do find something interesting about this slate that I was kind of combing through before. On DraftKings, we have Duren, 15 and change, Allen and Mobley right around 5. Like, I don't think Duren's going to be somebody I play in single entry, but like center, there's not a ton else that really stands out here whatsoever on the slate other than Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford looks nuclear next to Jokic, but that's going to be the most popular combination. I like just kind of waiting on center information. Hopefully we don't get anything crazy, but Karl Anthony Towns, I think, is pretty interesting for tournaments at 8,500. You got this situation for the Knicks where it's Jose Alvarado playing some extra minutes, Landry Shamet. Like, I don't know how much in competitive spots, and this is an 8.5 point spread for what it's worth, but like, how much are people really going to get on Karl Anthony Towns? There's not a chance he really gets steamed up. And I kind of like going to the expensive range of centers to get a little bit different because the raw fantasy points drop off so much from Jokic and so much from Karl Anthony Towns that I probably am not going to be making way for anything else in that mid-range. It's going to probably be Gafford getting turned into Karl Anthony Towns more than it will be Jokic turning into Karl Anthony Towns for that lineup spot. But like, I'm just going to wait on center information and hope nobody burns me early, Spags.
Yeah, this would be an early play as well, but Jalen Duren's another guy, I think, giving up that flexibility early on, trying that shot on him. He's been really good lately. Like the fact he was good against the Spurs kind of blew my mind because it really felt like it's not the kind of matchup Jalen Duren, it should be feast again, like versus Washington, sure. Versus the Spurs, I would say not so much, but 7,900, I think, is a price tag that's going to be a little bit high for most people, but he's putting up to shy of 1.3 fantasy points per minute. And I do think he puts you on a somewhat more unique path, much like Towns, I think, who you mentioned as well. Yeah. Cavs guys at center have come down a little bit for me, so I don't think they're as much of a play as they were a couple data updates ago. But I think Duren is one I have as having about a 22% sim win rate in terms of being in winning lineups. So I think that he's a guy I'll be a little more into than the field.
Yeah, I mean, raw fantasy points on a slate like this, we only have Jokic and Cunningham north of 50, and the Jokic one is north of 60, and it could be north of 64 very, very damn quickly if you get Jamal Murray out of there. So, yeah, I'm going to be playing a lot of him. I get what the Sims are doing here at the moment as well, but remember the injury news that is not being accounted for is Jamal Murray is still in our projections. And so as such, you're talking about somebody who's going to strip away some of that usage. Yeah, they play well in tandem, but it definitely is going to go up that fantasy point projection, and he'll look even better than he currently does. Jokic, under those circumstances, he'll be a 185 guy, which is just insane to say. But we've got 10 minutes left in the show. We've just been cruising, my friends. And you best believe I'm not going to try to stall today now that I've got my lineups in. We don't need to do any of that exotic play of the night garbage crap bit.
Why not? People love it.
Whatever. Alvarado getting 30 plus. He's 3,500. There are some kind of value plays. Let's do this, Spags. We know the chalk's good. We know the chalk's great. We know it's a lot of 2v2s. Can you give me one great tournament play at each position on DraftKings for the people today?
Oh, is this serious? Haven't we done this all day?
I'm dead serious. Well, no, you haven't been doing this the whole day because you said Ryan Rollins at point guard, and I disagree.
So for DraftKings, we mean?
Yeah, point guard. I'm just going to say Ryan Rollins for you and KPJ for me, and I'm right.
Are we going, does it have to be under 10%, guys?
No, it doesn't. It can be anybody that isn't mega chalk because that's the guys we're kind of identifying, the non-mega chalk dudes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I would have KPJ a little bit higher than Ryan Rollins. Like 10% ownership, I have him at a 15% rate. So yeah, I'll go KPJ too.
Oh, look at you. Oh, he's seeing the light.
I'm not biased to Ryan Rollins. I mean, I am a little bit, but I'm not, I think they're the same dude. I think KPJ gets too much respect. Rollins gets too much shit. But KPJ is a slightly better play.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. It's really all I wanted to hear. Jaylen Brown at shooting guard. You're talking about a guy against Brooklyn. I mean, that was just pathetic. They go into Denver. They're up 1 at halftime. Low scoring game for what it's worth. Jokic didn't look right with the hand. And then Jokic goes berserk, and yet he wasn't even on the floor for the 15-0 run that Boston ended up having go against them. Couldn't believe what I witnessed. It was absolutely absurd. But I am looking at shooting guard. Jaylen Brown is definitely it. Give me the spend up.
Shooting guard for me would be, I think it's also Jaylen Brown. I mean, we haven't talked about AJ Johnson at all. He's 3K minimum salary. He is a Mavs guy that's going to be owned at about 16% clip, but he actually does come up a little bit higher for me at 29%. So he's a little bit higher owned than Jaylen Brown, but 3K minimum guy, there's not a lot of them on the slate. I think he's really the only playable one.
Oh, it's so gross. I don't know if I can do it when it's all said and done. I currently don't have any in 40 lineups, but we'll see. Small forward, just because, I mean, he needs to put up 25 plus. Like, you just absolutely got to have it. You can't get 19 from AJ Johnson and survive today. You just can't. You cannot do it.
It depends what you got around him, though. I mean, that's how I feel about it. I think he's like a 20% play to me.
Interesting. All right, I'll rerun it afterwards. I'll rerun it because, again, I've got my stuff in for the first game, and then I'll turn it over to Josh, and I'll be able to kind of make all the different swappies that I want to make. FanDuel, that is in for me as well. Good. Had to double check that. Small forward. There are no pivots off of Najee Marshall. He is looking ridiculous. Jalen Tyson looks ridiculous, but I will throw out one guy, Sam Merrill, sitting down there. We know what he does. He chucks. Shooting guard, small forward. You get hot, young man, one time dealer on DraftKings.com. That can work out for you pretty well, but very unlikely against Detroit, 4,800, but he's sub 8%. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I got Sam Merrill at 25% of my lineups that I'm going to just put in. So I feel I'm not on a different page to do that. But I would say Jaylen Brown, small forward, low ownership, Mikal Bridges. But yeah, the Merrill, I think they're all kind of similar guys to me. Brown is a little bit better, but Bridges I'd throw in.
The most miserable position on the board today by leaps and bounds, I believe, to be power forward. Power forward just looks awful to me. Chris Middleton is the chalk. That should be all we have to say. GG Jackson, he's played well. He's played well in those minutes now starting for Memphis, but the minutes are not very much. They've been capping every single Grizzly in these games. You go through the NBA rotations there that Josh put on site for us here at Stochastic, and every single time I look at Memphis, it's just like these very concrete 23 to 26 to 28 minute type rotations for guys. And GG Jackson, just not a lot of upside to be found there. But I hate power forward. I think it's an awful position today. I don't really have anything. It's just kind of whatever the Sims give me. Olivia Maxon's prosper is like 1%. I suppose I could throw him into the bucket just because what those minutes could potentially be. But boy, do I hate this team.
I got a little more OG Anunoby than I would like. He's in 30% of my lineups right now for what you just talked about so well, is that power forward's awful today. And Anunoby does have a decent floor. A little more ceiling if there were, some teammates out, but at 33-minute projection, Anunoby, I guess, will be my guy here.
And we go to center. Got to get out of power forward. My God. Obviously, we've talked about this position a lot where you're kind of waiting on the information, Jokic, Gafford. And, if you end up removing Jamal Murray from the equation, again, I'm just jamming Jokic as is right now and kind of piecing off little pieces to give to Karl Anthony Towns if that's the route I want to go here when it's all said and done. But one low-owned tournament play at center, I'll throw him out there. I'll just let it be known. Mitchell Robinson is 3,800. Always been a guy that could randomly pick up time. Always been a guy that offensive rebound spectacular. 3,800 fantasy point per minute guy. If you play Milwaukee, Miles Turner, there's just a spot for him there. But there's no pivot off of Jokic. I mean, he's just running away with the position for me.
Yeah, I mean, Duren I talked about already. I think him at 15% ownership, kind of interesting. You mentioned Towns at 9%. I would say he's a similar play to me to Duren. That's it. I mean, Neemias Queta, I like the spot on paper. Feels like it should be a situation where you get a double-double, some easy kind of shots at the rim, but he just didn't make my Sims a lot today, even though he's a 5x value. So I'm surprised he didn't get there at all. All
right, Bastion S94. We got some Euros up in this bitch. Is Cisse out or questionable? Dallas beat reporter says out. I assume that just means that he's not with the team because G League, right? It was two-way G League. He was questionable, though, on the injury report. He was doubtful earlier, I believe.
He was doubtful earlier, got upgraded to questionable. It's what I was talking about earlier. He got off my sheet because I take guys out when they're doubtful. So he got back in as a Q tag. I mean, I would assume the upgrade means he's closer to playing than not, but
I would think so.
Yeah. Doesn't matter that much.
I think so. Chad Chandler, DFS $1.99. What up, gents? Tyus Jones? ? No, not the slate for Tyus Jones. I cannot advise, even if he starts Tyus Jones on this specific slate.
He's been a terrible producer this year, really fallen off the cliff. I would say no, too. You have better values.
Must plays in the first game. Miss you. I miss you, too. JR-NW1YV. What the hell? I mean, these just wild stuff. But for me, must plays in the first game. Dennis Schroeder, Jalen Tyson. Those are the two guys I'm playing in single entry.
For me, mostly Jalen Tyson. I am going to be fading Schroeder a decent amount, but yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really like must plays. Like Schroeder's ownership would indicate he is. I think he might be, if not a trap, it's a guy that gives you 30 and you don't feel awful about it, but you might not need him to win.
So if you're making multiple lineups here, we got Isaac Dietz, X4C, $2 super chat. Thoughts on Tomlin punt, 3,300 with hella dudes out. This is not the slate for me to take like long shot dudes on guys that could potentially play more minutes off the, like we have such good value that are going to be such certain minutes as it is right now, especially on the Dallas side that, again, the chalk is so good. Maybe it works out for you. And in those kind of scripts, I would probably not want to play Dennis Schroeder. I'd probably not want to play Jalen Tyson. You just hope they get their ass beat by Detroit, which is very, very live to happen. And Tomlin just plays garbage duty and does his thing. But I can't really advise it today.
Yeah, he came up a little bit similized for me, that, like about 6%, but he's an 8% play, so it doesn't really matter that much.
How do you feel about Tomlin on FB? That is J City Rock the City, $1.99 here. Going to be passing for me on both sides. I'll take a look over at his FanDuel ownership quick. Naquan Tomlin, where did he go? I had this sitting there. All right. We got a little bit of positive leverage coming in his direction. 3,700 is a little different when the floor is 3,500 over on FanDuel. So I think he looks a little bit better to me, ironically enough, over on that site. DraftKings, is Tomlin power forward?
Yes, okay. Power forward.
Yeah, I'll say yay to Tomlin for tournaments. I rescind everything I just said, and you have 1 minute to implement it. Good times.
He did ask how he was on FB, so he might have been asking on Facebook. Like, is he really he's really good on Facebook? Is he posting sick memes?
13 super chats. 13 super chats on this show. That was a lot of information thrown out together. And you know what? We didn't make a butt joke once. So go us, Chris Spags. We're awesome like that. He's Chris Spags. I do appreciate him. It's been an awesome week hanging out with him, being able to talk NBA DFS for sure. And we got Josh Engleman coming up next, talking you through everything on the prop side and late swap for the Live After Lock show. But follow him at Chris Spags. Follow the Splash Play podcast. Anything you want the people to know on the way out.
Check out that stuff. I do streams Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. talking NBA, showing you guys my data at splashplaypodcast.com. And if you want to learn more about what I'm doing, you guys go check that out. And I'll be back tomorrow with EMAX. So if you guys enjoyed this content this week, you get one more weekend day with me on Saturday where nobody wants to gamble.
Shut up. Swapping out Eric's. That'll be fun. He's just an Eric sandwich, if you will. Those are good times. Looking forward to... That was creepy. We're going to bring Josh Engleman on the show for another weird segue. How you doing, Josh? What's going on? Do you have fun watching us for an hour? Just be appropriate and stuff?
Muted. Hey, that sounds like a sandwich no one would ever buy.
Oh,
terrible.
So
terrible.
Some old meat, some meat that might make you sick because it's so tainted. That's the good combo of Eric's.
If I'm going to eat it, I want to eat it open face. We'll keep EMAC. That's fine.
Have a great weekend, everybody. It was so fun hanging out with you. For Chris, I'm Eric. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy Live After Lock. Bye, guys.
Bye, Josh.
See you, Josh.
Beat it, boners. The fun show is here. What's up, everybody? Live After Lock time. Friday. I don't have anything on the screen. My bad. Friday, February 27th. Next time I see you guys, it will be March. Let's get the odds screen up. Let's have some fun. What's going on, boys and girls? Now, let's fix this overlay because that looks terrible. I'll fix everything. We'll be fine. We'll get there when we get there. Need a background for some strange reason. That's not there. Let's get the basketballs in. Shazam. We got this. Bump up the screen size. Turn off the night view so that I could actually see. I got that red haze on the screen right now. I don't need that. Now we're back. Let's do it. Let's finish off this work week strong. Let's hit something. Let's hit something. Speaking of stuff that we could hit tonight, I posted this on the strategy show this morning, and I can't lie. It's looking better. It's looking better. We dropped a 30% same game parlay on Pistons Cavs this morning. What time did this go in? 9 hours and 30 minutes ago. That was 9:30 a.m. Perfect. Pistons -6. That is no longer the line. Cade over 2.5 more, or 2.5 threes. At the very least, it looks as good as it did before. And now Jalen Tyson over 4.5 rebounds. I think we got a fantastic chance to pop this one from the strategy show this morning. And it is clearly a much better play now than it was then. Big dub. We also have a prize picks card sitting out there for us that we put in during the strategy show. All of this came straight from the Stochastic Props tool, which you guys can get by clicking the link in the description of this video. That will make it very easy. Would this be better if I went to a circular style? Don't mind me for a second. I feel like I can get better stuff on the screen right now. And everyone will prefer that. Well, purple I don't like. We'll switch that. Am I better as a circle? You know, I'm not dealing with that right now. Whatever. Let's go make some bets, shall we? We can't touch one of these games because I don't trust it. I can't go to Brooklyn, Boston. That's insane. I can't mess around with those extra special fake teams when they play real teams. I'm too nervous. However, I want to think about Knicks Bucks. In my mind, I like the Knicks quite a bit. Mostly because I don't like the Bucks quite a bit. So I want to find an angle to get to the Knicks. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to the Stochastic Props tool to see what's out there for this game in particular. Last update was 638. We're totally good for this particular game. I've got some same game parlays for DraftKings and FanDuel that I'm waiting on. So I want to see what the best lines are at either DraftKings and FanDuel right now. Ryan Rollins under 4.5 assists. On DraftKings, at least. I've got a sneeze, so that might happen immediately. Mikal Bridges under 3s doesn't help me. I got to get the sneeze out of this beak. We got it. We're back in the game. Seems like I'm going to take that Ryan Rollins line, and we're going to be building the DraftKings version here. It is the number one option from an EV perspective. We've got the market line at plus 129. It's 112. So I'm going to take that Ryan Rollins option. That Celtics will start White, Shireman, Brown, Hauser, Kada. Just FYI. That just popped up. Okay, Mitchell Robinson over 7.5 threes. That is another one that naturally fits the direction I want to go here. Nets will start Traore, Igor Demon, Michael Porter, Michael Porter Jr., Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton. So we've got 2. I need one more realistically here. I don't see another pro Knicks line. And I don't really want to take the KPJ under 3s line. So I'm going to just take the Knicks. Why did I add the Mitchell Robinson FanDuel line? I'm so dumb. I picked the wrong one. I need a DraftKings line. Let's clear this out. Get FanDuel out of there. Find a second DraftKings line. Bridges is going to be a no. I don't love that Turner line. AJ Green over 2.5 rebounds sounds like a sweat I would hate so much if that were a bet I actually wanted. Can't take the Shamit because that's an under. Can't take the Sims. Maybe I'm not going this direction, at least on DraftKings. Let's pull the plug there. It might be that this game is the FanDuel same game parlay that we need to build. Because now we could take that Ryan Rollins play. And we could take that Mitchell Robinson play. And then I'm going to take just the Knicks. I just prefer the Knicks in this spot. So that makes it easier. I'll get this one up on Tails in the next couple seconds, but if you want to start building it out, I would do this on the screen if it didn't geo-lock me for being on my camera. So it's Ryan Rollins under 5.5 assists, Mitchell Robinson over 7.5 rebounds, and then just the Knicks minus whatever the hell the spread is. 8.5, I think. Correct. And I believe it's a 30% profit boost on FanDuel. Can't really beat that. Mitch over 8 plus, minus 128. Rollins assists. Ooh, that's a massive, juicy spot. All right, I got a 30% profit boost. 3 of them, actually. Huzzah. Max $10. I'll take what I can get. Now, we're only getting this up to plus 462, but I will take that all day, every day, because the Knicks are winning this basketball game. Now, we picked one up, 2 days ago? But we need to get another one here. Prize Picks card from yesterday ended up being fine. I don't know if you guys were able to get to that. We ended up pushing, actually, on 2 different plays. It was Drew Holiday, I think, maybe, and Zion both landed on the number, but we went 3 and 2 otherwise, which is always nice. So we ended up actually making a little bit of money on Prize Picks. We've already got the Prize Picks card out there. I'm getting this live after lock Tails post in right now. Photo posted. Good deal. Let's take a peek. Because this is how great Tails is. You guys can one-click tail my bets. Who wouldn't want to do that? Let me get some music on in my ears again. We need something filling. Night driving's going on. Now we're talking. So check it out. I can go immediately to the picks feed. You're going to see me right out of the gate because I just posted it. Knicks -8.5, Mitchell Robinson, 8+ boards, Ryan Rollins under 5.5 assists. It is here, and it is mapped. So if you go to Tails, and you can do that very easily, because I'm dropping the link into chat right now. Bang. Click Tail. Find the book you want to take it at. You could take that at Polymarket if you want. You can go to Bet365 if you want. Fanatics, Drafty, whatever you're looking for. It's here. You click that Tail Parlay button. You're going to be good to go. Doesn't get any easier than that. And I place that right now on the stream, straight out of the tools, straight out of the stochastic prop tool. And you guys can do it even faster by just placing it here. All you'll have to do here is just click this button in the bottom corner and you're good to go. Mucho Chapo was able to make a couple shekels off of that Prize Picks card last night. Love to see it. And I assume you guys can see the ticker at the bottom. We're using the NBA props tool right now. But you guys can bundle these bad boys up. Where did he put this in as a background? Do everything. Oh, there we go. We're good. Found it. Nope. Yeah, there we go. We're good. You can get them as a bundle. We don't just have the NBA props tool, folks. We also now have an NHL props tool. So you guys can get in here, move your sliders around, take the market line, take the projections, take some blend of both, or you can edit rates on your own. On the NBA side, change minutes, points rates, assist rate, rebound rates. Get your hands dirty. Make some changes for yourself if you'd like. Well, we are bundling these together right now. The promo code is bundle. That shouldn't be all that hard. You can click the links in the description and sign up for the prop tool. Whether it's the NBA or NHL, you can get them both with this code. I love this show. I'm gonna boot Greg from this bad boy down the line. Do you guys have anything that you want to look at right now? Happy to look into anything, or I'd like to build the DraftKings same game parlay that I was looking for. The question then becomes, do we go to Denver OKC for that? I'm a little nervous about this game. I'm not going to lie. Thunder given 8. You know, the Murray news kind of makes it so it's hard to pay attention to. I have a hard time thinking that the Grizzlies Dallas game is in any way real. So I never, like, I don't have a natural lean on that one, even though I would like to. Let's see if there's anything interesting in Portfolio EV that we might be able to attack. Actually, let's check the Prize Picks Pick'em Builder. Super chat. Does Powell still have value with Cisse in? At the moment, we have Dwight Powell 3K playing 15 minutes, 0.17% optimal. Neither one of them, Powell or Cisse, should be in a lineup. Both unplayable. Boy, Jorge in the house. Basic DFS question, because I sucked. How often is good to swap? Only when there's news. I do it every time a game or games will start. Maybe that's good practice. Thoughts, if you don't mind. No problem at all. I would, at the very least, I want to look at it every time I can. I don't necessarily just swap just to swap, like, especially like on a slate like today. I'll run my swaps just to see what the actual ownership differences look like. But, you know, with a 7 to 7:30 start, like, you're not really moving too much around unless that 7 o'clock game had like crazy ownership in it and you want to get those actuals correct. But after that, I would, like, realistically, you're probably swapping every time. You know, some of it comes down to how many lineups you're playing too. Because if you're playing, you know, like let's say you're playing like a 5 max. I mean, realistically, after your first swap, you probably know whether or not each lineup can win and whether or not you're even swapping those lineups to begin with. When you're talking about like a 150 setup, like if you go full bore and like the mini max, I think you should be swapping as much as you possibly can. I need to find another bet. I hate these games so much. Maybe there's a prize picks card out there that can save the day. And the good news is there absolutely isn't. I don't think that the top 6 plays in Portfolio EV are actually going to give me a good card. If they do, it's going to be right on the number. Actually, 8% is... That's higher than I was expecting it to be. We touched down a little bit in college basketball. Actually, I got 14 minutes to get this in if we need to. Some dude from Michigan, under 7.5 points. Rollins under 3s. A hockey play. 2 hockey plays. A Middleton fade. And then a Nolan Traore under assist option. If this is available to me right now, straight out of the gate, I'm going to take it and I'll get it posted. It is. It is. So let's just take this one as well. Bang. Immediate. Top 6 plays on prize picks. Straight out of the tools. 6 highest plays from an EV perspective, right out of the Portfolio EV tool. It truly doesn't get any simpler than that. And I can post this for you guys immediately. Bang. You guys want to tail it? I can make it simple. Post is up. Link is in chat. That's 2 prize picks cards we got up now. We got 2 FanDuel parlays out. For Josh to say Powell is unplayable is a bad take. That's crazy. You want to tell me Cisse is a bad take? I can get behind that, but I think you're picking the wrong dude. Wrong one? Did I post the wrong card? Sure as shit did. Good eye, William. Deleted. Oh, I saved the wrong one. That's even crazier that I didn't even notice that. Bang. I was wondering why one of those games looked live when I clicked it. Whatever. We saved the day. That one's already posted. All right, let's get this one up here. Appreciate you, William. All right, now we're in. I tried my best. Now we got it locked and loaded. But for real, I mean, we've got Musa Cisse at 2% optimal. We've got Dwight Powell at 0.17% optimal. What am I saying? It's not true. At least Cisse is a good per minute guy. Like, you want to make that case? I could see it. But like, what's the advocation here? That Dwight Powell somehow plays 15 more minutes than we expect? I'm good. I mean, I'm staring at 15 minutes and a 13 fantasy point projection. How's that a bad take? Spoiler alert, it isn't. By the way, already mapped. Tail that prize picks card with 1 click. Yeah, we got to stop acting like Dwight Powell is some like he's Paul Reed, which he is absolutely not. Any in-game ARB opportunities chilling out there right now that aren't crazy extreme? Fairfield and Siena. It's an intriguing one. If you're ever looking for ARBs, the ARB tool is the way to do it. Whether you're live in-game with the auto refresh on, immediately locked into your browser, or you're just trying to pick some off from a pre-game perspective in times where people may not be paying attention, I highly recommend you do it. Let's peek on the odds shop or on the live odds screen for a sec. Because while I don't trust some of these spots tonight, I do think some individuals are a little in play. Let's take a peek at some PRAs. Valentine, I hear you, but what I'm saying is that if he's in play, then everybody's in play forever in every slate possible. Like, for reference, he's not in the top 50 in optimal rate. So, what can I do here? If you're not one of the top 50 plays on a 5-game slate, you're not in play. But you guys know that he's probably live to now play all 48 minutes somehow. Look, the take is the take. I'm 100% correct. I've already spent too much time thinking about this. I would rather spend some more time finding a bet to snag here. And realistically, we're on the hunt for something on the DraftKings side. So let's find a spot where DraftKings is holding the best line and see if we can attack. Let's get out of these 7:30 games too. All right, Bridges under points, not what I want to do. Kuzma over points, not what I want to do. AJ Green, no. Sims, no. Is there another draft game? Okay. Under on Shea, PRA at 39.5. Realistically, DraftKings holds the best Jamal Murray line, too. I like the Shea under, not what I meant to click. Whoopsie daisy. I like the Shea under. I can get behind that. The question is, what do we put with it? I mean, if Murray plays, I don't exactly hate it. Shea under, Murray over, Nuggets taking the points. I think that's the move. I'm locking that in right now. DraftKings, same game. I think it's a 30% boost. That's the path. That's how we get to the late game. And if Murray doesn't play, then Murray doesn't play. Oh well. But I'm taking the points. We're taking the 8.5 with the Nuggets. Then we're taking Shea's PRA under, Murray PRA over. It's a 15% same game parlay boost. I got a 20% all-purpose boost. That's not bad. That's $5. 15%, $5. Doesn't matter. I'm taking the 20. So we'll get that to plus 486. I don't hate it. But this is a winner. 8.5. The Nuggets getting 8.5 is crazy. That's just nuts to me. That's too much. This feels like a really nice, like even if this goes wrong, it feels like a really nice backdoor cover spot. All of a sudden you look up, they're down like 13, and then you look up and they lose by 8. I'm here for that kind of game. But this is a game I wanted to take a shot at. And now, worst case scenario, if Murray doesn't play, then he doesn't play. And we don't really have to stress that much. Let's get this one up on tails. Big day on the tails streets for me. I got a lot of stuff out there. Bang. All right, we're in. Johnson, it's not a jinx of the bet. The Nuggets are covering the 8.5. That is not a part of this one that I'm worried about. Shea's just good. He could just be awesome even in limited minutes. But I'm not stressed about the Nuggets getting 8.5. Now, it's going to look like a pretty dog shit line when Murray ends up out, but whatever. I can handle that. Let's see if we've got anything new up in the props tool down this stretch. And if you're here, guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Helps out a ton around these parts. Let's get DraftKings and FanDuel there. Actually, let's get everything. Let's just see what the big plays are out there. Last update was 708. We're in great shape here. Case and Wallace on the score. Massive EV. I mean, we got a lot of really nice options here. A lot of them on no vig. I'm going to pull that out right now just so we can slowly but surely get to the spots that I actually hit more often than not. Getting there. Should probably excise Profit X for myself. All right, now we're cleaning it up a bit. Max Christie on Kalshi over 3.5 boards is looking really good. MP over 2.5 assists for Michael Porter Jr. on DraftKings is plus 139. That's a fun one to take. You don't expect him to get it there against Boston, but that's a fun sweat at plus money. Same story for the guy that he got traded for. Cam Johnson, over 2.5 assists on Bet365 at plus 190. We're showing them both as positive bets. That's the type of stuff I'd like to take flyers on if I'm looking for just single bets, because at least you're getting a little bit more of a fun sweat on plus money. I'd love to pick those off. Just take the Cam Johnson. Is there a comparable line anywhere? I mean, the DraftKings line, oh my God, no, the Bet365 line is just on another planet. Even the DraftKings line, though, is still good. Good enough for a boost, at least, if you needed it. But if that Cam Johnson line's real, that's craziness. Get to that on Bet365 immediately. Let's take a look at the Sims. Let's take a look at the data for where we're at right now. You know, we've locked. Obviously, some of this is already locked. Actually, that's one thing I didn't think about. What the score be? Cavs by 6, obviously. Just what we expected. Just what we expected. Clearly the way that it was going to go. Thanks for nothing, Cade. Warhead coming in with a super chat. Let's take a peek. AJ Green and Najee or Gafford and Hendricks. You have Jokic. Okay. Yikes. I mean, that almost has to be Gafford Hendricks, I think. You got to get AJ Green out of there. You got to get it. Yeah, it's got to be Gafford Hendricks. Jorge, dump that whole lineup into chat if you don't mind. I'll pull it up in the single lineup sim, and we can take a look at potential 2v2 options if you want. Because that's really what the sim tool is for. Maybe we can see something that looks even better. All right, well, I know Jokic is in it, so I can click that button. That'll be an easy piece of this. All right, Craig Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr. Please tell me you have Michael Porter Jr. too. Ah, silly. This is a pretty good day to play a bunch of Porter Jr.'s. You missed your mark here. Craig Porter Jr., Jalen, KPJ, Jalen Tyson, Middleton, Schroeder, AJ Johnson, and Najee Marshall. Okay, so we will then unlock Craig Porter Jr. Nope. Najee Marshall. And who the hell do I unlock here now? You were asking me AJ Green and Najee Marshall. Did I read that wrong? Am I just stupid? I mean, I guess I could take anything out of this, really. We've got Najee Marshall out of there. Porter to KPJ. Where do you have AJ Green? I'm so confused. AJ Green isn't in the lineup, man. Where would Gafford and who's the second person out of Craig Porter Jr., Kevin Porter Jr.? Okay, that makes so much more sense to me because AJ Green was such a dog shit play. I didn't understand why you were asking me that. Now we're where we need to be. Because I was like, that's why it was so obvious to me. It couldn't be anything else. We're good now. All right. Well, we're cooked on Clowney Shireman. That would have been the actual two. Oh, I'm on Boston. Never mind. But either way, we're cooked on those. So let me get only the 3 remaining games. Okay. So Najee Marshall, AJ Johnson is in fact the top combo, which makes way more sense to me than what you asked me. Let's see if a little randomness unearths any other combos. Omax Gafford is a combo here. There's Marshall Johnson. So your question was Gafford and Hendricks. So let's see what that combination looks like. So we got them both in now. It's lineup 3 and lineup 2 here. The Gafford Hendricks lineup takes a 8-point fantasy point cut, but you only give back 26% in ownership. And I think you're probably giving up too many fantasy points for ownership in that case. And it doesn't appear that there's anything even remotely close to a better combo than Ooh, Ryan Rupert Brandon Williams is at the very least better than the Hendricks version. Ryan Rupert Brandon Williams only drops 4 fantasy points, but you also only cut 11% of ownership. So I think you have the best option right now. I think you're sitting on the best one, Jorge. Taylor Hendricks, Max Christie. Yeah, you're just giving up too much there. Bucks will start Porter Jr., Rollins, Green, Kuzma, and Turner. All right, guys, one last reminder. Depending on what you're looking to sign up for, whether it's The Sims, there's a link in the description with a code. Are you looking for stochastic props, either on the NBA side, the NHL side, or both? You can get the both with the promo code BUNDLE. That link is in the description. Otherwise, they're both available to you if you want to go individually. And then finally, if you're more of an OddsShopper person, the way we were picking off these portfolio EV lines, looking for ARBs, using the Pick'em Parlay Builder to get some stuff out on, in this case, Prize Picks, but you could use it for something like Underdog. Those links are also in the description, and you're getting a couple shekels off. I think I've reached the end of my line here, folks. Not a lot going on from a news perspective. I'm not going to be in here long enough. It doesn't seem to actually deal with any real news coming out of that Denver game. So I think that's going to be the end of the line for me here on Live After Lock. It's been a fun week. I've enjoyed this show. I assume that I will be back to normal live before lock on Monday, but we shall see. But it's been fun, man. We got a lot of bets in for today. A couple Prize Picks cards, a couple same game parlays. All it takes is one to make this day pay off. And if we hit one of those Prize Picks cards, then it really pays off. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Have a great time. You're going to get Spags and EMAC over the weekend. Be nice to those folks. Make sure you're hitting the like button on those shows. Final thing to say, Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby, and Towns is your starting lineup for the New York Knicks. Not like we didn't know that one. So, thanks for being here, everybody. Sign up for the tools using the link below. I'll see you guys later.